Hey, welcome to the Homemade Songwriter. I'm Matt. Today we're going to do a reaction video to this Olivia Rodrigo interview where she gives her top songwriting tips. If you don't know who Olivia Rodrigo is, she's the songwriter and artist behind Driver's License, Deja Vu. She's got a lot of big hits right now. She's a young artist, put out her debut album, I think it was her last year of high school, and she's like globally known, so she's doing pretty good. I love videos like this. I love interviews with songwriters who are giving their tips and what they think are the important things to think about when songwriting. So let's dive into her tips and see what she says.
Hey, I'm Olivia Rodrigo, and these are my top 5 songwriting tips. My first tip, which I think is the most important one, is listen to music like a songwriter. I have grown exponentially from doing this. I literally will listen to music that my idol made, watch all of their interviews, and then go back and be like, okay, I'm gonna try to write a song as if they were writing this song.
I totally agree with that. I've done that, and I think that's really fun to do. I think we all kind of naturally do this, right? When we decide we want to write a song, usually it's because we hear a song from an artist that we love and we're like, man, I would love to write a song like that. So for me in high school, I was obsessed with John Mayer. I thought his guitar playing was insane. His songwriting was incredible. And I was like, man, I'd love to write a song like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room or Stop This Train or Gravity. What's cool about that is no matter how much you try to emulate your music idols, you're never going to sound exactly like them, and that's kind of a good thing. So me trying to sound like John Mayer is going to fall somewhere between John Mayer and me, right? And so naturally it comes out as my own sound just with John Mayer influence. And so you do this with your favorite artists across the board as your songwriting, and you kind of develop your own style that's a conglomeration and a mix of you and all your favorite artists and your favorite songwriters.
I'm obsessed with the way that Taylor paints pictures, and her imagery is fantastic, and her storytelling is just insane. So I don't think I'm as good of a storyteller as she is yet, but I always try to put aspects of that sort of narrative, singer-songwritery type lyricism in my songs. I think Lorde really teaches me a lot about production and actual music. Also a big lyrical inspiration for me is Phoebe Bridgers. She's just so brutally honest and says stuff that you wouldn't think of being in a song. And I think that's impactful and beautiful, and so I sort of try to do that as well.
So I love that. I love that she's not even just saying I want to sound like this artist, but she's able to pick out and pinpoint what aspect of that songwriter, what aspect of that artist's songs she likes. So for Taylor Swift, she likes her storytelling and her ability to paint a picture. For Lorde, she likes the kind of poetry. And for Phoebe Bridgers, she really likes the honesty. So I think that's a really cool way to do that, is to not only just try to sound like an artist or write a song that you think that artist would write a song like an artist that you like, but to figure out what it is about that artist that resonates with you. Why do you like those songs from that person? Is it their honesty? Is it the way they paint a picture? Is it their guitar? Is it the chords they use? Is it the topics that they write about? Those are good things to be aware of, and like she says, to listen to songs like a songwriter. That's a great tip. Love it. I already love this video. So let's see what tip number 2 is.
Another songwriting tip that I have is finished is sometimes better than perfect. I can't tell you how many times I've sat at a piano and been writing a song and been like, this is terrible, I should just quit, this is so bad. But I force myself to finish it, or at least finish the idea or whatever, or finish the verse and chorus. And lots of the times I come back and I'm like, oh wait, that was actually great. I was getting really in my head about it. You're never gonna learn from something if you just throw it away the second you think it's not good, and you're never gonna learn how to craft something good if you just are waiting for just to lock in a bolt of inspiration to strike you.
Yes.
Number 3, I think this sort of goes along with.
Yes, I agree with that. I could not agree with that more. That's something we preach all the time here on this channel, is that sometimes you just got to do it. You got to finish. And you're not going to get better as a songwriter unless you're finishing songs and you're practicing how to finish the song. Like she said, a lot of times we get in our head and we think, this is terrible. But then by the time you finish it, if you had stuck in there maybe one more verse or even a couple lines longer, you might have written some line that turns the whole song and changes it, and then you go, wow, actually this is pretty good. You would have missed out on that song had you not just pushed through and finish the song. As artists and creatives, we a lot of times take the easy way out and we say the inspiration's kind of faded or whatever, and we just kind of, if it doesn't just pour out of us easily, then it's not going to be a good song. And that just could not be less true. I mean, real songwriters, they wake up and they go to work, right? They wake up, it may not be 9 to 5, but essentially it is 9 to 5. They're writing songs, and they know that of the 100 songs they write that year or whatever, some of them are going to hit, some of them are going to miss. But the practice of writing songs and continually writing songs and getting better at songwriting is how you find hits. That's how you write good songs.
Number 3, I think this sort of goes along with number over to a little bit, really like showing up for your creativity and not just waiting for like a lightning bolt idea or like something to inspire you. I think sometimes you just have to work and write and create even when you don't feel particularly inspired. Over quarantine is I like forced myself to write a song. Not force myself, that sounds sad and scary, but like I sat down at the piano and was like, okay, I'm gonna write a song every day of quarantine, and I feel like that made me a much better songwriter. Some of the ideas I wouldn't have, gotten to jot down if I didn't, make myself do that every day. So I think showing up is really important. It's more important than being talented or good at anything. Like you can be super talented, but if you don't show up, what's the point?
Apparently, I don't even need to have commentary in this video because she's. I spoke too soon last time. That's exactly what I was saying, and that's something we talk about all the time on this channel. I think is really important, and I think it's one of the reasons we started this channel is because there's so much false information or false ideas, I guess, about songwriting that it's just like it's these super creative people and they just the song just pours through them and they get lightning in a bottle and boom, here's a song, and then it blows up and they become a huge artist, and that's how music works, and that's just not. There's so much work that goes into it and dedication and showing up, as she puts it, which I think is great. You show up for your music. You got to show up every day, be consistent, and say, I'm going to write a song, and I'm going to write a song, I'm going to write a song. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily even write a song every day. You might show up and then it's not working. You don't have to force it, but it's important that if you want to make music, you want to be a songwriter, that you show up and you are consistent with it. Like she said, if you're consistent and you're writing every day, that's way more important than if you're naturally talented, which I just love. That's so true. And I've seen that happen over and over again. I knew a lot of people when I was younger who were natural born talent musicians and the people who weren't as talented naturally. But I've seen a ton of those natural talented people who didn't really put much work into it, and they've just kind of stayed at the same level. And those people who didn't have as much natural talent work at it and be consistent, and they've gone. And I mean, if you could chart a graph of both those people, the people who didn't have talent at the beginning are like years beyond them in skill now because they put in the work.
Fourth tip is to write songs for yourself and because you love it. The second that you sort of start writing a song with the intention of it being liked by other people, it loses its magic. Take that with me in my writing, and I'm like, oh wait, but people won't like this if I do this, or like, oh, I have to do this if people like it. It just absolutely like ruins it.
So that's a good tip. That's actually a good reminder for me. Something I don't think about, but this is supposed to be fun, right? We're writing music because we want to have fun, because we like writing music. I love the process of starting with nothing, then kind of humming and playing some chords, writing some words down, and then at the end of the day, I created something out of nothing. There was nothing, and now here's a song I can share. It's a little package nugget of truth or a story that I can deliver to somebody and make them feel some kind of way. I think that's such a cool and beautiful thing. And I think her advice here is really important to protect the writer's room, protect your writing process, and that people are always going to have things to say about your songs or your style or this or that, but it's important to write songs that are genuine and honest, not write for somebody. A good way to think about this is if you try to write a song that's going to please everybody, you're going to end up pleasing nobody, because everybody's got different opinions and tastes, and you can't serve everybody. So write something that's true to you, and then those songs will find your audience.
You need to realize that, honesty is always relatable, and you don't have to try to relate to large audiences. You just have to tell your story because humans are all so.
Honesty is always relatable. Boom. Love it. Put it on a t-shirt.
Much more alike than we are different, and we're all feeling so much of the same things that we just don't talk about. The last songwriting tip I have is to read poetry. I think I have to start a song with a lyrical concept or idea. I'm a very lyric, narrative, story-based songwriter, and everything else kind of is secondary to that.
The underlying theme there, I think, is a good tip, and that's to find sources of inspiration in all kinds of places. So a lot of times we look for inspiration for our songwriting in music and other songs that we listen to. One thing we talk about on this channel a lot is living your life through a songwriter's lens, so constantly being aware and having an eye out for song seeds. These can be found in the shows you're watching or conversations you're having with your friends. Right here she's saying you could read poetry, books you're reading. Everything that is around you, all your inputs, can be sources of inspiration for your songwriting. So be intentional about that. I think it's a great tip. That's the end of that video. I thought that was awesome. I love hearing other people's songwriting tips, and I'd be curious to know from you, what was your big takeaway from this video? Which one of these tips struck you and is one that you're going to put into practice this week or on your next song? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. And before you go, check the description. There's a link to 30 songwriting prompts that are going to jumpstart your creativity. If you need some help with song seeds and getting started on your songs, that's going to give you 30 song topics. Right away, you'll have 30 ideas to be able to write songs from. It's free, and I think it'll be a big help. All right, that's it for this video. Keep writing, and we'll see you in the next one.